Right. Good evening to all of you on the conference call. Thank you for joining us. This is Yatin Shah, Chairman Managing Director of Precision Camshafts Ltd. While we'll have question and answer session followed by a small update that I'd like to give. Okay, so we have ended on the 31st of December. Let's start with the actual facts and figures. The top line has been fairly muted, and purely because of the nature of the business, which I will explain as we go forward. Two, more importantly, we have managed to post fairly consistent EBITDA results and PAT results. One of the reasons that we've seen fluctuations in the top line is because of supplies into China, which have been severely affected for the last 6 months. Sales into China have been affected quite significantly. This is why one of the reasons that we've seen sales to be muted or reduced. There have been some fluctuations in the demand from Europe as well. But having said that, I think the number of programs new that we have got and been awarded are fairly on track. And going forward, we see fairly good results coming out of the machine camshafts. This year, Precision Camshafts will hopefully end with doing machine camshafts to the tune of about 1.9 million shafts, 1.9 to 1.95. And with the contracts that have been awarded and the work that we have already got in place and the investments that have happened and the trials that have been taking place, we see an extremely clear visibility of this 1.9 million camshafts fully machined going to in excess of 4 million shafts by 2020-21. This will be obviously a ramp up. You will not see much happening in the next year. The following year will be about 2.9 million, and the next year will be in excess of 4 million. So this is where the PCL story is. The nature of the product, as I've been always saying, this product takes about 2.5 years to develop, and plans are not put into motion until then. But with the recent contracts that we have got, which have been announced, we believe we are fairly on track to achieving more than doubling our machine camshaft sales by 2020-21. This is as far as the domestic, this is as far as organic is concerned. PCL has recently acquired a company called Memco in Nashik, which does fuel injection parts for companies like Bosch, Delphi, etc. Critical components. These are given to very, very prestigious customers. This company, when we took over, has done a turnover of circa 30-31 crores. It expects to post an increased turnover of about 15% in this year, between 10 to 15%. This company supplies into Bosch India and Delphi India at this point of time, and they haven't explored the Bosch global world nor the Delphi global world. I think PCL has now put into plan an ambitious plan to take this company to 100 crores in the next 3 years by exploring the Bosch world globally. We've already started talking to Bosch globally and have seen fairly good response coming out of them. So I think the acquisition of Memco, which is a very strategic fit to PCL, would turn out to be an extremely good complement to our growth plans. These figures that have now been announced do not have the Memco figures. Also, they do not have the China joint venture figures. These consolidated figures will be posted at the end of the year. China is doing fairly good on the machine shop. One of the reasons for a decline in the casting sale in the boundary of PCL in Sholapur is because a bulk of that has already gone to our Chinese joint venture. The Chinese joint venture is running fairly okay at this point of time. So both the figures of these companies will be looking towards the end of this year. I think one of the most important things that I'd like to announce is that the PCL plans of setting up a machining facility in Brazil is on track. We expect to start early production in November/December of this year, and serial supplies will begin to our customer in Brazil and Mexico early next year. So I think this is in short or a gist of PCL. We have, as I said, we have maintained the gross margins, in fact improved them. Our EBITDA margins are still at about 24%, so they're consistent with what we are doing. And we are hopeful that with additions of machined camshafts, this would be improving as we move forward. So all in all, I think, minus the blips that we have as far as China, etc. is concerned, in the long and medium term, the company's performance appears to be fairly on track and stable. I think I'd now like to sort of take questions from the audience on any of the issues that they have. So can I
Sure.
Can you start the question, please?
Sure. We will now begin with the question and answer session. Participants who wish to ask questions may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking questions. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles.
Can I just add one more point before we go forward?
Sure, you may go ahead.
The audience. Okay, so one of the important points that I'd like the audience to take back home is that PCL has today signed 2 non-binding offers for acquisitions in Europe. So these are non-binding and we are progressing pretty much on them. I think that is where I would end my talk and be ready for question answers.
Participants who wish to ask questions at this time, please press star and 1 on your touchtone telephone. We have the first question from the line of Vipul Shah from Sumangal Investments. Please go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yes, I just want to know about this, your program of this assembled camshaft for which you have a technology transfer with German companies. So what type of value addition we can expect from that?
Okay, so that was one of the things that I did not mention in my opening talk. We have the technology completely in PCL.
Mm-hmm.
We are now actively engaged with all German OEMs for the supply of this.
Mm-hmm.
So typically speaking, the value add in this is as good as the value add in any. So if you look at it, the cost of the raw material in this product would be circa 55%, 45% will be a value add.
Okay. So if I want to ask it in a little different way, your realization for a casting shaft is around 325 rupees and for a machined one is 1,000 to 1,050. So what type of per shaft realization we can expect in this assembled camshaft?
Approximately 1,300 to 1,400.
Sorry, 1,300 to 1,400.
Yes.
Okay.
And now that you asked about this, we are now actively engaged with companies like BMW, Daimler, and Audi for programs on this product and technology.
Okay. So in next 2 years, how much quantity are you expecting of these assembled camshafts to be shipped?
Okay, so I have mentioned that the 1.9 million machine camshaft would go to in excess of 4.2 million shafts for 2020-21. This does not include anything to do with assembled camshafts.
That will be over and above this machine one.
Over and above this, and it is likely to happen in the next 3 to 6 months that we are likely to get some kind of a contract. But this is not a part of the 4.2 million shafts.
But what type of volume we should expect in next 1 to 2 years from this assembled camshafts, sir?
You will not expect in the 1 year. You will probably expect it 18 months down the line, because once the contract is made, The development period is again the same, approximately 18 months to 2 years, but volumes generally for a program start at about 500,000 and could go up to 1 million per year.
500,000 to 1 million once it starts.
Once it starts, a typical contract is of that size.
Okay, sir. And sir, you gave the figure of this Mamco engineering, but I missed it. So what are its turnover and net profit for the last available financial year?
It's about 31 crores is the top line, and EBITDA in the range of 14 to 15%.
14 to 15%. So 4.5 to 5 crores is the EBITDA.
Yeah, roughly.
Probably. And you have planned to take it 3 times to around 100 crores.
Yes, because this company, which was run by the erstwhile promoters, limited their sales and marketing to Bosch in India and to only specific plants again in India. We plan to take that to pan-India and also to take them globally, because Bosch globally requires a lot of components which they currently are capable of manufacturing.
Okay, and how does it fit with our current product profiles, sir?
Well, there is no relation between a camshaft and injector fuel, because camshafts are supplied to OEMs as tier 1, whereas these products are supplied to Bosch, who is a tier 1, who supplies the fuel injection systems to OEMs. But these are critical components where the value add is very high. We, through our working and lean management and improved manufacturing practices, are hopeful of taking the EBITDA levels a few notches above than what they are doing today.
Okay, sir. And, sir, you already mentioned it, but how the accounting treatment of joint ventures are accounted for? They are consolidated at the turnover level, or they are consolidated only one line item at net profit level?
At net profit level, because both the joint ventures, we are a minority shareholder.
Okay.
So the line-by-line addition is not done. It's only done at the net profit level. Mr. Doshi, is that right?
You see, as China is concerned, we are the minor shareholders. So Chinese financials will be added to the net profit, below the net profit.
Both Chinese ventures?
Both Chinese ventures. We have got a 40% and 22%.
Uh-huh.
So the profit will be added below the net profit in consolidation. But as far as this Memco is concerned, that will be added to the top line by line. And also what our CMD is talking is about this acquisition, that will be also added to line by line.
Okay, okay. And sir, my last question, sir, if I see your machine camshaft volume and turnover both has increased as compared to Q3 of last year. So naturally profitability should be higher in machine camshaft. Still profit has dropped substantially. So what is the main reason?
The main reason, or at least not the main reason, but... Sorry, go ahead.
Can I explain, sir? Huh?
Yeah, please.
Yes, yes. So if you see in the last 3 quarters, we have given the VRS to our employees. Okay. So what we have done, we are removing the permanent people and we are adding this temporary people where we want to get rid of this long-term liability. So because of that, there is a hit of in between 8 to 9 crores on the profitability. Because of that, there is a hit on the margin as well as net profit.
9 months, right, sir?
Yeah, that's correct. And also that will continue for further 1 or 2 quarters. Then you will see the stability and increase in the profitability as far as this machine camshaft is concerned.
So when should this VRS charges disappear? Means what will be the last quarter when this VRS...
June 2018, this will be the last.
Okay, so the VRS charges will appear still for 2 more quarters.
2 more quarters, yes.
And what should be the quantum we expect in each quarter?
In between 1.5 to 2 crores.
For every quarter?
For every quarter, yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you. I'll join the queue. I have a few more. But okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Deepan Shankar from Trust Line Portfolio Management. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the opportunity. So just want to understand, out of the incremental global PV sales. So how much proportion could be EV and non-EV? And how
EV?
Yes, sir. EV, electrical vehicle.
Okay, so this is obviously every company and every organization will have a different view. So our study that we have done and through various agencies worldwide which contribute towards gathering this data, roughly 3% of the global volume by 2027 would be EV, and the balance would still continue to be internal combustion engines, is what is being projected or predicted. So if you look at last year, close to 70 million cars are manufactured worldwide, out of which circa 400,000 were electric vehicles. So now you can understand the proportions.
Okay. So does this ratio differ among entry, mid and premium level cars?
Yeah, this is all put together.
So that I understood, but because it is still at a premium level itself, or still it has been penetrating higher in mid and entry level in global level?
It is more at the premium and high level at this point of time.
Okay. So how has been our dependency on GM and Ford, and what are their plans and targets towards EV?
But see, every company already has some plans for EV. Some are in advanced stages, some are still running. So currently with GM and Ford, the new programs that we have announced which will start being manufactured from the next year in small numbers and then ramped up in 19, 20, 21, 22, will still run on internal combustions and will go all the way up to 2026, 27. Okay. So most of their programs still continue to be on internal combustion engines, not only General Motors and Ford, but if you look at German OEMs, including Audi, VW, Daimler, or for that matter, BMW, they still continue to focus strongly on internal combustion engines. However, the shift has taken place from diesel to petrol in a large way at this point of time.
Okay. So largely over next 5 to 10 years, you are not expecting any major growth slowdown happening in this IC engine?
We don't anticipate any slowdown, at least for the next 10 years in this field with all the customers that we're dealing.
Okay, sure, sir. Thank you and all the best.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Jinesh Gandhi from Motilal Oswal Securities. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. My question
pertains
to the targets which you have given for your machine camshafts. How much of this ramp-up is dependent on the underlying market and the new product launches of customers?
You mean how much is dependent on current customers, or was it? Sorry, I didn't get the question.
How much of this ramp-up is dependent on the new model launches of your customers, and how much is dependent on the underlying market as well? Hello? Hello?
Participants, please stay connected. We seem to have lost the line. So, Mr. Yatin, please stay connected while we join him back. We have the line from Mr. Yatin Shah reconnected.
Sorry, the line got disconnected. So as I was saying, these are all new models being introduced by our customers and are for global platforms. So you would see a lot of new models coming out with the camshaft that we are putting into production in the next 1 or 2 years, 2 years.
Okay. And in terms of your customer concentration, can you share what kind of revenues you get from, what percentage of your revenues come from your top 5 customers?
Yeah, so I think we still have a large concentration with General Motors and Ford. who take about 60% of our revenues. And the balance is split between a variety of other customers like Porsche, Fiat, Maruti, Hyundai, etc. So I think General Motors and Ford worldwide at different plants continue to be our major customers. However, in the next 2 years, you would see a different pie chart with respect to concentration, because we are now actively engaged with a lot of customers that we were not on board earlier, such as BMW for their new assembled camshafts, etc. Or VW, who was never a customer of ours, or Audi, not a customer of ours. So we are now working very actively, and unfortunately cannot disclose too many details owing to confidentiality agreements. But we believe in the next 2 years this pie chart would show a completely different concentration.
Okay. So this incremental volumes which you're talking of from 1.9 to 4 million, large part of that is that coming from non-Ford, non-General Motors, or they also have a substantial share of the incremental volumes there?
There is a large chunk of them coming from there, purely because they have been with us for a long period of time.
Right.
And they will continue to place their faith in us. So it's like this. We started with chilled cast iron camshafts and have moved on to then getting ductile iron, hybrid and assembled camshafts into our stable.
Right.
Primarily, chilled cast iron is used by General Motors and Ford, while the others use assembled, hybrid and ductile. So because we have introduced these technologies in the last 2 years, we will now be looking for customers who use this. And therefore, that will explain to you why the pie chart will show a different concentration in the next 2 years. For example, we are now talking in extremely advanced stages with German OEMs like BMW and AMG for assembled camshafts projects.
Understood. Lastly, in terms of, you indicated about you evaluating targets in Europe. So this would be in the camshaft space only, or like Memco, this would be on adjacent areas?
I wish I could tell you everything about this. However, you know the rules better than me. At this point of time, I can only say that these are targets that we have looked at and signed up in Europe. More details will soon follow. I mean, we had not announced any non-binding agreements that we have signed so far, but it's the first time PCL has announced 2 of them in this quarter. So we are hopeful of coming back to you soon on more details. At this point of time, I think this is the only information that we can share.
No problem. Great, sir. Thanks and all the best.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ritesh Poladia from Girik Capital. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity, sir. Sir, you spoke on machine camshaft going from 1.9 million in this year to about 4 million in 3 years. So would this be at the cost of the casting volume, or this is on and above of the casting? What right now we are doing is about 7.5, 7.6 million?
Okay, so there are 2 ways of looking at it. The 7.5 million will obviously shrink because some of the castings have already reached their life program expiry. However, the customers still continue to work on them. So we are a little surprised that these programs which have actually expired still continue. So for PCL, who is a very conservative company, we consider that this will be a replacement. However, working shows that this will be addition at this point of time.
Okay, so at max, we can expect that casting volume can be flat for 3 years?
Yes, casting volume will be flat. So I would say that we will hover between 8 and 8.5 million shafts.
Both casting plus machine?
No, castings will be 8.5 million shafts, whereas machine camshafts will go from 1 to 1.9 to in excess of 4 million in the next 3 years.
So last year you did 7.6 million, right?
Correct.
So that also may go up a little bit in 3 years.
Yeah, see, there are 2 reasons. 7.6 will always has slightly come down, will slightly come down because roughly 1.2 million from this has gone to China joint venture.
Okay.
So that obviously has been a hit on PCL India. However, these new programs that we have acquired for which they be machine camshafts will obviously also require castings, right? So
okay.
7 plus 4 should be 11 really castings. But we believe some programs will reach their life expiry, and that 11 million camshafts would probably come to about 8.5, 9 million shafts.
Okay. Sir, when we have reported the 7.6 million in FY17, so is this the external sales or does that include machine as well?
No, 7.6 is sales to foundry, sales to customer as well as to our machine shop. It's a total sales.
So, sir, 265 crore is the FY17 casting revenue. So, what would be the external revenue out of this?
No, 265 plus the machine sale. You have figures of the machine camshaft sale. Mr. Joshi, can we add out here?
7.5, what is it? It is outside. It is not
okay.
For machining.
Okay, that's totally outside, right? So we can compare 265 with 7.6 million.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And sir, definitely right now assembled camshaft you cannot talk, but in 3 years can it be of the equal size of today's machine camshaft?
No, it will not certainly be.
Okay.
Because it's a new entry. Customers will obviously be little skeptical about our entry. They are not going to place such a critical component in such large volumes with us as the starting point. I think we would start off between 0.5 to 1 million and then progress. Because once you have established comfort and confidence with one customer in the overseas market, then I think the rest of them follow. But at this point of time, we should be a little cautious in projecting that. So that's why I said...
In 3 years, you can expect about 1 million assembled camshaft?
Yeah, about 1 million camshafts. So
okay.
This would be, when we get it, this will be over and above the 4 million.
Over and above the 4 million. And sir, regarding acquisition, definitely you cannot talk more about it. But this recent Bank of Baroda loan would be intended to pursue that acquisition?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So the size would be almost of near to that loan amount?
No, that is something that we cannot say because that would then probably tell you the size of the deal, etc.
Sure.
That money is certainly going to be used for acquisition. That's for sure.
And by what time this acquisition can fructify approximately?
I hope I could tell you that, but at this point of time, purely because things are not in hand and it would not be appropriate for me to put any dates. We can only say we are trying to do it as soon as possible. I mean, obviously one has to look at one thing, that you cannot sit on a non-binding agreement signed for too long.
Sure. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before we take the next question, we'd like to remind participants that you may press star and 1 to join the question queue. The next question is from the line of Vipul Shah from Sumangal Investments. Please go ahead.
So regarding this technology of assembled camshaft, those programs have been approved by the customers? Means are they at the advanced stage? Means
yes, sir. We are now approved by most of the German OEMs for the technology. I can also tell you that we are in the process of supplying prototype sampling for trials in the engines.
When will that commence?
In the next 3 months.
In the next 3 months. And regarding, in reply to last participant's question, you said 8.5 million, you said 8.5 million, and out of that, 5 million will be pure casting and 3.5 to 4 million will be machined one. Is that understanding correct, sir?
So out of 8 million, 8.5 million, we are expecting roughly 4 million to be machined and 4.5 million to be casting.
So casting will shrink from 7.5 to 4.5, right?
No.
Pure casting.
No. Okay, let's put it like this. The company manufactures in total about 8.5 million shafts today. There's something 7.6 million, 8 million shafts, yeah? Out of which we machine 1.9 million. Okay. Mr. Doshi, right?
Yes.
So out of 8 million camshafts, we machine 1.9 million camshafts. Right. Going forward, this 8 million would go to 9 million, but the 1.9 will go to +4.
Okay. Got it, sir. And
so the value-added camshafts will increase going forward because that is where the margins lie, sir.
Okay, sir. And sir, regarding this Brazilian subsidiary, can you give the detail? What is the capex involved and when we can expect to start the sales?
So the capex involved is circa 50 crores.
Sorry, 50?
50 crores.
So we have spent the entire amount?
No, sir. At this point of time, we haven't spent any amount on that. It's in the process.
Okay.
And that production is likely to start. Very sample production will start at the end of this year. That is November, December. We are committed to start supplying products to our customer in Mexico and Brazil from that plant by first quarter of next year.
By first quarter of next year?
Yeah.
Okay. And it will be 100% subsidiary or there are also some local partners?
100%. This is the PCL 100% owned subsidiary.
Okay. So entire capex will be done in next financial year, right?
Yes, sort of. Yes.
So what will be the capex guidance for next financial year, sir?
We are looking at doing Brazil, and as the gentleman earlier said, we have some funds that have been sanctioned by Bank of Baroda for our acquisitions. So we cannot put, therefore at this point, what we can say is Brazil is 50 crores, but the acquisition figures we would be difficult to put together right now because of some confidentiality clauses. But
minus acquisition, what should be the capex, which is...
No, right now we cannot disclose the capex of acquisition as well as including Brazil also, but in India we can do it here.
Mr. Doshi, how much are we planning to spend in India now in this year? Roughly 100 crores, right?
100 crores, yes, sir.
100 crores.
100 crores is going into organic for the award contracts that have been awarded to us, which will take us to 4 million plus. Okay? First.
Okay.
Number two, Brazil, as Mr. Doshi also said, roughly 50 crores. Acquisition figures we cannot tell you right now because that's in a very, very confidential at this point of time.
So minus acquisition, it should be roughly in the ballpark figure of 150 crores.
Yeah, about 150 crores.
Okay, got it, sir. Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before we take the next question, a reminder to our participants that you may press star and 1 to join the question queue. Next question is from the line of Anand Dubey, who's an individual investor. Please go ahead. Mr. Anand Dubey, you may go ahead with your question.
Hello.
Yeah. I can hear you.
Thank you for taking my question, sir. Sir, I have just a couple of questions. First question, sir, you have recently won an order of 275 crore for the Ford, General Motors and Mahindra. Can you give the details about the orders?
Yeah, so actually if you look at the announcement that we have made, the announcement clearly states that the 275 crores comes from these three customers.
Yes.
Ford, out of that, accounts for 190 crores. General Motors accounts for 35 crores. Mahindra accounts for 50 crores. So that is the sum total.
Okay, sir. Sir, you have mentioned about the 1,266 rupees per camshaft for Ford and General Motor is a 700 per camshaft. So why is it so low price for camshaft for General Motors?
It's not low, sir. The issue is the camshafts are priced depending on the weight of the camshaft, the complexity of the machining, and all the difficulties. So the camshaft's margin remains the same irrespective of whether it is 700 rupees or 1,200 rupees.
Okay. Sir, my second question is, sir, how much machine camshaft you have sell in FY17?
Roughly 1.9 million.
Okay. And until now, FY18 in 9 months?
About up to now.
Yes.
I mean, we'll complete the year with about 2 million, roughly.
2 million.
So if you take the last quarter, if you take out, it will be minus 160,000. So it's the same rate as last year.
Let him send the mail. We will give you the details about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, my sir, third question is, what is the average realization price of machine camshaft till now in 9 months, sir?
Mr. Joshi?
This is 1,050 for machined and 325 average, 325 to 350 in machine as cast.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much for taking my question. Okay, thank you so much.
Sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Participants who wish to ask questions at this time may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. Next question is from the line of Raj Makwan, who's an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hello, sir.
Yeah. Hello.
You talked about there is an issue in China sales. Can you please elaborate it?
Yeah, so the customer in China to whom we supply camshafts machine had to discontinue, I had to close their shop for a period of 6 months for some reasons best known to them. So because of that, so the supplies to China for 6 months were actually seriously affected. Again, as I repeat, after 6 months, we are now beginning to see the re-emergence of the same order, and we hope to continue that in its full by March. So we'll come back to normal.
Okay. And sir, how do you see the sales to look like 3 years from now?
Guidance is very difficult to give, but what we are trying to say that in the next 4 to 5 years, the company would like to become a 1,000 crore company plus.
1,000 crore company plus. That is including Memco sales, or is it only the organic sales?
No. Everything put together, we would be 1,000 crores plus.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question is from Vipul Shah from Sumangal Investments. Please go ahead.
Sir, that Chinese issue which you just discussed, so was sales to that particular customers from PCL or it was from our joint ventures in China?
No, sir, PCL.
So, okay, so we used to build them, right?
Yeah, we still build them.
Yeah. Okay.
This is one product that has not gone to the Chinese joint venture. It still continues to go because of the technology from PCL.
Okay. And sir, what are the cash and cash equivalent as on today?
And that, Mr. Doshi, cash and cash equivalent.
It's in between 200 to 250 crores.
200 to 250 crores.
Yes.
Okay. And how much is what is the amount of loan, this credit line which we have got sanctioned from Bank of Baroda, sir?
It's 19.5 million.
Sorry?
Euros.
19.5 million euro.
Okay. 19.5 million euro. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Before we take the next question, a reminder once again to our participants that you may press star and 1 to join the question queue. Next question is from the line of Anand Dubey, who's an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, I have just one question is that, sir, in your outside business is drastically is down. Last 9 months, your revenue is 220 crore. Now the FY19 9 months revenue is 166 crore. So the drop down is near about 24%. Why, sir? Can you give some guidance?
I told you, one of the first things is that a bulk of what we were doing has shifted to China. So roughly 1.1 million camshafts which PCL did for exports to China has stopped being manufactured in Sholapur and has been shifted to our plant in China. That account itself is almost about 18%.
Okay.
And then there are other, so that's why I said then this will now reflect in the revenue and the profit of the Chinese joint venture.
Sir,
and the others, obviously, there are certain customers in Europe which have faced certain issues which are cyclical in nature, not permanent.
Okay, sir. And FY19, what will be the export business, sir? Outside business? It will be go increasing or it will come reducing the manner?
It will be fairly stable, and there will be a slight improvement that you would see in machined camshafts in the next year. Casting sales would be fairly stable. If you look at it, although the exports have come down, to a large extent, you would also see domestic sales have increased significantly. Our sales to Maruti, our sales to Hyundai, our sales to Toyota have significantly improved.
Okay.
So while there is a reduction in the exports, it is not that it has come down drastically. There has been an offset by increasing sales to domestic customers. Going forward, I think we will be fairly stable. As I said, camshafts is not a quarterly figure that you can see. It's a long gestation period. Once you reach that quantity, it is difficult to then sort of show you a different quarterly results. That's why I said 2020-21, you will see a sizable increase from machine camshafts. It will go from 1.9 million to 4 million plus. But that's a very tall order that we have placed in front of us.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Participants who wish to ask questions can press star and 1 at this time. Anyone else who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1. Next, we have a follow-up question from Vipul Shah from Sumangal Investments. Please go ahead.
Sir, what is the volume of business that is transferred to Chinese joint ventures? You said 1.1 million shafts?
Roughly.
So may I ask what is the logic of doing this? Because here 100% revenue and profit accrues to us, and in joint venture it is means 30 or 40%, whatever may be our stake. So what is the logic of transferring those?
The logic is very simple. The logic is simple that the customer in China has already decided to take this away from PCL and localize it.
Okay.
They have strong indigenization requirements.
Okay.
Now, we would have normally lost this entire business. Because there's a joint venture, we at least managed to secure that within our joint venture all but 40%.
Okay. And who controls both these joint ventures? The local partners or management is it is managed by PCL?
No, so the customers and the government compliance issues and etc. The local issues are taken care of by the local joint venture partner. Technology is entirely provided by PCL.
Okay. Got it, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question is from Anand Dubey, who's an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Sir, just a last question. Sir, I just want to ask you, what is the progress of IPO fund as you have not utilized it? Do you have plan to use anything else?
Mr. Joshi will address that.
Yes, now we are going for expansion here, near about 150 crores, what our CMD has told. And 100 crores we are spending out of IPO money, out of that.
Okay. Hello?
Yeah.
Hello? Yes, sir, go on.
Mr. Joshi has already told you just now. 100 crores will be spent out of the IPO proceeds in this year, right?
Okay.
Right, Mr. Joshi?
Yes.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else who wishes to ask a question can press star and 1 at this time. As there are no further questions, I'd like to hand the conference back to the management for any closing comments.
Yeah. So thank you very much for attending this conference call. We are extremely optimistic about the future going forward, although it has been muted for the last few quarters. We are hopeful that going forward with what we are planning to do on acquisitions due to the fact that we have signed non-binding agreements, plus some new programs that we have won, the year ahead looks extremely positive. And I'd like to end this conference call on that note. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for being part of the conference call.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. If you need any further information or clarification, please mail at snighter@conceptpr.com. That's SNIGHTER @conceptpr.com or ruchi.bhadra@conceptpr.com. That's ruchi.bhadra@conceptpr.com. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes your conference for today. Thank you for using